This tutorial is on how to use forms. With some of the new features, there might be some renewed interest in using forms for quizzes. So this tutorial is going to go mostly over how to start a quiz, how to add questions, pictures, and then lock it down when students want to take the quiz in your classroom for a little added security. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the basic steps on how to build a question. So what I would start with is I would start with the title. So this one, I'm just going to use a World War I quiz. Okay. And then you can see where I wrote it up here and it comes automatically out as my title of my form. And then I can put whatever I want here in the description. I can say answer the following questions. Something like that can be as descriptive as you'd like it to be. And then one of the features that a lot of people don't know about, which make things easier, is that if you're transitioning into forms and you have a bunch of quizzes and tests that are written in doc format, or you have them in Google Doc format, Word format, whatever format you have them in, they make it a little bit easier for you to transfer those questions into a quiz. And this is how you do it. So what I have here is I have a Word document, okay, with some questions that I took. And basically what you'll do is you'll just copy the question, come back to your form and paste the question, okay? And one of the time savers is instead of having to type each individual possible answer out, you just copy them like this, come back to your form, and then in option 1, just paste it, and then they'll all fill in. So now you have a multiple choice question. You can obviously add a short answer or long answer just by controlling this over here. So this one is multiple choice. Let's say the next one that I have, I'll just push the plus sign to add a question. And then this one, I'll put why did World War I start, not related to the above causes. And I would be thinking they would write about Archduke Ferdinand being assassinated in this particular thing because he's kind of the wild card in those first four answers to the first question. So why did World War I start, not related to the above causes? And then what I could do is just leave it as long answer text. And of course, I'd have to go back and review that. But this is how you start building a quiz or a test. And so here's some of the cool features. If you're already working with quizzes and tests, there's a new feature that they add in. It's right here. It's called import questions. You can open up any other form, okay, that you've ever had. And you can, go to an old quiz. And if you want to transfer some of the questions over to a new document. Okay, so see, I brought up another quiz over here on the right, and then all I have to do is check them if I want them imported into this new document. That makes this pretty cool. So you can, if there's pre-made forms with quizzes and you just want to drag over a few questions, you can use the whole thing. It's completely up to you, but this way you can start mixing and matching or taking things out without having to write a completely new question. So that's a cool feature. That's called import questions. Another one is what I usually do in my tests is just add some pictures. It makes it a little bit more of a dynamic test. So the way I would do that is you can add them for the question, but you can also add them for each individual answer. And so I would just pop into this one since the first question. I would type in World War I. Okay. And select a picture that I wanted to include in there. I can pick anything that I want. Pick a picture of the trenches, and then what'll happen is the picture will pop up, and then the student will be able to answer. Now, the next thing that you want to do is, let's say all my questions are done. I'm going to want to make them required. So you'd want to come down here and go required. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to come up here to the gear and I want to select a few things. to make sure that it's number one, a quiz, and number two, I'm gathering the right information that I want. So I'm going to click on the gear. First thing I'm going to do is collect email addresses, right? And then response receipts, and then always. So that way, after the student takes the test, all their information will be collected. Now, one other thing that I like to do, I will go back to the actual quiz, is put a section here for last name, and then another one for first name, and then another one for student ID. And that'll help out a lot. You can leave it with just collecting emails, but this is actually a lot easier if you wanted to throw it into a spreadsheet later on. So I would add those things. Now back to prepping the question. So here's the question. I put required. I came up to the gear. Collect email addresses is just an extra layer of kind of security. Restrict users in Long Beach here, and then also limit to one response. You don't want them going back and doing it 100 times. You don't want them to edit out after submit if it's a quiz, and they usually just leave these things blank. But the next thing I want to do is pop over here to quizzes. I want to make it a quiz. I want to lock it when they take it, so they won't be able to get out of this at all. They'll go in, they'll take it. They can't go out to other websites or anything, so that's a great layer of security. And then they release the grade immediately after submission, or if you have long answer stuff, you're going to need to do it later after manual review. And then you can choose these based on what you want. So if they're taking it, as soon as they take the question or answer the question, they can see kind of this stuff here. Then I'll click save. And then you notice that I chose it to be a quiz, and this little thing pops up down here called answer key. Okay. Now what I need to do is figure out how many points per question. So this one's going to be 5 points for this question. And it says the seizure and control of one country by another country is best referred to as. The answer is imperialism. So I'm going to mark that. You need to mark the correct answer. Okay. And then as soon as you do that, click done. Then this quiz question is ready to go. All the students have to do is get your link to this quiz, and then they will be able to take it. So the next tutorial will be on how to take information from this form, turn it into a spreadsheet, and then upload those grades to School Loop once you grade them. But there are some new features in quizzes, may make it a little bit easier to use them to do your quizzes and testing. Until next time.